the panel discussion about around education as a key driver of adoption. Moritz Schild from the Bundesblock, and he will announce his panelists. Welcome, Moritz. Thank you, James.
Cool, yeah, thank you for inviting me. My name is Moritz Schild. I'm here in my capacity as a member of the board of the Bundesverband Blockchain, Bundesblock. Simultaneously, I'm working for Coinix, and I'm a founding member of the Hanseatic Blockchain Institute in Hamburg, and we are doing some education on the topic as well. I'm very happy to be able to moderate our panel on education as a key force to help mass adoption of crypto, and I'm very happy to welcome my panelists, maybe starting with Andreas Traum from PwC. I think he's up there. Okay, I'll get you on stage part by part, and everybody gets the opportunity to just give some brief introduction on who you are and what your organization, in this particular case PwC, is doing in the crypto space. Please
Thanks, Moritz, for the welcome. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today. I think education is key, is a very important topic, so I'm very happy to speak about that with my co-panelists. Andreas Traum, partner with PwC in the financial service advisory area, where I have the pleasure of coordinating our service offering in digital assets across all our lines of service, bringing together what we do in assurance, advisory, and tax and legal. I think you wanted us to say, when we first got, acquainted with crypto topics, so basically working in capital markets for a quarter century. Of course, got acquainted very early on, but never really professionally. I remember a taxi driver used to drive me in Berlin, kept asking me if he should buy Bitcoin, and I kept telling him no. So professionally, I started to change my mind when we helped Börse Stuttgart introduce the Börse Stuttgart Digital Exchange. I think a milestone in Germany.
Which year was that?
And that was 2019 when we finally launched. I think a major milestone, and I've stayed in the space ever since.
Great. And so your personal first encounter with crypto was back what time?
Well, the first time I actually bought crypto was actually 2019. I was the first, non-employee test user of BSDEX. Okay. Great price, by the way. I bought it at 5,000 euros. I should have bought more. I didn't. Otherwise, I might not be sitting here today. But still am, and happy to see the ecosystem grow.
Cool. And I think it's very cool to having one of the big five here on stage, because if I remember when we...
Who's five?
Big four. When we first tried to get the annual accounts of companies that held Bitcoin audited by an auditing firm, we really had difficulties to persuade someone that they should look on the blockchain to confirm what the actual holdings are. Next on the panel is Arno Penthaler from DEC Institute. Arno, warm welcome. Please give us a short introduction about who you are and what DEC Institute is doing. By the way, Arno used to work with an auditing firm as well, by Deloitte, I think, and then he decided to set up DEC Institute.
Yeah, that's plus minus the story. Nice to meet everyone here. Thanks for having me again. Like the last time, I had the pleasure to be here as well. Yeah, my name is Arno Penthaler. I just came from Zurich by train this morning, where I actually also started my career at Deloitte. And in 2017, I was sent by the Swiss office to the Deloitte Blockchain MEA Center of Excellence of Deloitte, where I started my first engagements in blockchain consulting, education, proof of concepts, and so on. So that was my first kind of work experience in the blockchain ecosystem.
And when did you buy your first crypto personally?
That was actually on the day when I entered the blockchain lab. There was the CTO of the center who approached me right away asking me, do you own crypto? And I said, no, I don't. And then he answered me, so the first thing you're going to do before we talk about anything, you get yourself a wallet, otherwise we won't speak. And
which year was that?
2017.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
And that was kind of the first kind of hands-on requirement from the Deloitte Blockchain Lab back then. Yeah.
Cool. So next on the panel is Matthias Wild from Binance. He will, sorry. Great to have you here. Take a seat, take a microphone, and so we heard about Binance already in the keynote, but Michael, give us a short update. You have been working with an auditing firm as well, if I'm informed correctly, having worked with KPMG.
This is absolutely correctly. Before we start, I would like to apologize. Normally, the head of charity, Helen Hai, would be here today, but she can't make it because her son is sick, and it's the reason why we changed the forums. Indeed, my career started with Commerzbank. I'm looking over there in this corner. During the financial crisis, I was the executive assistant for market operations. And then I went into consulting. And yeah, I did some kind of a European tour. I was in London, I was in Zurich. I built for an investment bank an entity in Warsaw. And in 2018, I came back to Germany because my wife, to that time, my girlfriend, brought down my little one, and I joined KPMG. In the regulatory and compliance space. So we already have 3 of the 4 big fours here, 3 of the big fours here already sitting here. And my first touch point with crypto, I think you will ask me, was in 2018 when I bought Bitcoin. But the majority of my interest in blockchain started when I became managing director for an Israeli online broker last year. And this was also the kickoff that somehow Binance got interest on my person, that I helped them getting compliant over here in Germany. And since February, I'm managing director for Binance in Germany. And as many of you know, we recently applied for a license with BaFin.
Cool, thank you very much. We wanted to have Maria Ineva-Olms on the panel. There she is. She sent me a message saying that she might not make it because she's sick. Great to have you here, wonderful. Hey, Maria.
Hello.
Take a seat, grab a microphone, and give us some background. Maria used to work with PwC in her career, so we have
Yes,
all
and
people
actually,
from
I think
auditing
the
firms.
fourth missing EY, I used to, I did an internship back then in 2009 or something, yeah.
Give us a short introduction on your background, but particularly on what your company, Ecolance, is doing and intending to do.
Thank you. So my background, I started, my interest in crypto started in 2018. And I started, like many other people, just investing in crypto. But then over the time, I realized that blockchain is solving so many problems, so I decided I really want to work in crypto. And this is why this year I started Ecolance. And Ecolance is solving exactly the problem of people like me that want to work in crypto but don't know how and what to do there. So what we do is we're training professionals from the Web 2 world, or like from the regular world, how to transfer to work in the Web 3 world. So basically giving them the skills to work for blockchain companies. And we also solve the problem of companies wanting to hire blockchain professionals because they can get involved with us in our training and get to know the talents or the professionals training with us before they graduate, and they can get involved in their education. Yeah, and I think this is a great time right now to actually start a company in blockchain because there are so many things that you can invent or so many problems that you can solve in the world with blockchain technology, and we're still so early. And I'm very excited also to speak today about the first step into adopting blockchain education.
Great. And you personally, your first investment into crypto was back when?
Was actually XRP. I invested in XRP in 2018. That was my first investment. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. I mean, it's not a competition, but I bought my first Bitcoin on eBay back in 2014, and then the guy sent me an email, said, "Congrats for buying Bitcoin. Can I have your wallet address?" And I had no wallet, and that was the reason to setting up my first.
And do you still have this Bitcoin?
I still have it was half a Bitcoin.
Okay.
At the price of it was a quarter of a Bitcoin at price of 25 euros. So
Wow! Congratulations.
100. All right, great. Let's start with a question for everybody. Please give us a short single sentence answer. What's the most often heard phrase from someone who's saying, oh, leave me alone, I'm not interested to learn more about this blockchain and crypto stuff, I don't want it. What's the most heard reason for someone saying, please, no?
I can quote my mother. I do not understand it, what you're doing there. I do not understand what it is. It all is fraud. I have my money here in my pocket, and this is exactly what I need to live. And then I start debating with my mother, who is, let me quickly think, 66 years old.
Okay.
But see, Michel, my mother has never understood what I do for a living for the past 25 years. So, but that's working in capital markets. Moritz, I think it's very different depending on who you speak to, right? If you speak to the retail consumers, and we're going to hear a lot about that, and I think the education program that Binance is putting up with the Frankfurt School is a great step forward. If you're talking to institutionals, oftentimes it's, of course, they say it's all, it used to be gray area, illegal, a lot of money laundering that comes across that. And I think their regulation in Germany actually helped to level the playing field a bit for institutionals. But I think overall it's like Michael's mother, it's understanding and not really knowing what it is. And I think if we foster the causes for mass adoption, and people will start seeing real life use cases, they'll start seeing the value in it and not thinking of digital assets just as Bitcoin and then saying, I have no idea what it is, there's no value behind it, I don't want it. I think that's going to help really drive digital assets into the future.
Arno, do you hear people saying, leave me alone?
Yeah, it's mostly the people who are a little bit afraid of the complexity of the topic, and the easiest answer to say, I'm not interested into it, right? So that's the major issue we have here. The kind of the change we are trying to bring to this problem is to putting the focus on an examination that we have launched at DEC Institute. So compared to many different courses and educational activities, we as an institute really try to focus on an exam, similar like the Kaya or CFA activity. And that brings a complete different perspective to a potential candidate, because he doesn't have the feeling that he's being persuaded to move in this direction for a course that is trying to often convince people to invest into something or to use a certain application. We come here and we put an exam in front of him that gives him the perspective, oh, okay, this is now something I actually need to study in order to really use it, right, and then to pass the examination.
Okay. Maria, from your experience, what are the key obstacles for people entering into it, being willing to learn about it?
So, for me, the key obstacle is that people don't see the relevancy for them. As we already said, they don't see the business case or the use case for them. But I want to give an example with a lady that came to my house because I wanted to hang new curtains, so she advised me about the curtains. And then I was prepping for a presentation, and she asked me, what are you doing? And I was like, yeah, I'm prepping for a presentation on blockchain. And she's like, what is that? I heard about this word, but what is that? So I told her, do you ride these scooters, on the street? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, are you aware that they actually run on a blockchain, on the Helium blockchain? So this is like a real life example you can give to someone that relates to them. And this was the moment when she realized, aha, so actually it's in my life. That doesn't mean that she really needs to understand the technology. She just needs to understand that it's already in her life. And I think this is the first step. So bringing the relevancy to people, that is the first step to adoption.
I would totally agree. It's not only understanding, it's also getting benefits out of the adoption. And this is what we need to create to just leverage the example of the scooters. We're talking to people from the music industry, and I can be very frank. Andreas and I do it together because Andreas had been on my side for quite long. And we want to give people more power on their belongings, on their rights, from a musical industry perspective. But also there needs to be a benefit associated with what the end user gets. Like, I always say NFTs, this collectible pictures, whatever, there's no intrinsic value. Perhaps there's an intrinsic value, but there's no real value. You generate a value, for example, if you collect 4 items and getting 25% off the next time. This is a perk or a benefit associated with. And this is something, what you just also said, what we need to have to generate interest in the mass or in the middle of the society for how. I'm getting something back, I'm getting something cheaper. Now I need to understand what it does, how it works. Not just investing into crypto and expecting that there's an increase of value or raise in the curse. We really need, as Andreas and you already said, we need to generate real-life use cases for blockchain and moving away from this common thinking, it's just an investment vehicle. It can be much more.
Maybe we look into the providers of education, and I think we all agree that Frankfurt School is doing a tremendous job in bringing this technology to the students and to the public. However, many other universities lack competence, lack offerings in this respect, and I have the feeling that many people that are fluent in the crypto space have developed their knowledge by YouTube videos and by private initiatives. Maybe, Arno, because your institute is working with a bunch of universities from different countries, what's your takeaway regarding the ability of the classical academia to master and to provide education in the crypto and blockchain space?
So the current status is the difficulty of the current status for universities in general is, first of all, the speed of the innovation and the large and broad coverage of topics, right? So blockchain, crypto, and Web3 has to do with business, has to do with economics, with technology, and also legal and regulatory and compliance topics. So if there is one or two professors teaching blockchain, they probably are going to cover only 40 to 50% of the material that a potential blockchain expert would need to know. And therefore, in each university has its focus on the topic. And as we could also see from the DeFi Talents program, they very much rely on the larger ecosystem of the university, on external mentors, on external teachers, on investments from the industry that is supporting such programs. So an university alone has a hard time in launching and really pushing an end-to-end learning program without a collaboration, across the larger ecosystem. What we at DEC Institute are trying to do is to consolidate a little bit the academic arena out there in order to allow, different universities to play the thought leadership role in a specific area of expertise, to define a common knowledge standard through an examination, similar like a CFA examination program, as well as to involve industry to define the requirements of what an expert needs to know when working on the market and not just researching at the university. So this complexity of lack of resources, lack of financing, and lack of coverage of topics is a little bit the situation that we have right now.
Okay. I mean, education is someone I wanted to hand over the word to you. Education is something that should happen within corporations as well. Companies need to qualify their employees. I haven't heard of too many large organizations that have significantly given some blockchain learning training programs to their employees. Andreas, what's your experience of working with these larger institutions that want to enter this space? How do they qualify and do they manage to qualify their people?
I think, thanks for the question. Just one topic, one other comment on Arno said, universities alone cannot, do what we need for education. I think digital assets is a good example where, the next era will not be defined by universities alone. It's fast changing. You need people that actually, work in real life projects. And even, talking to Philip yesterday, he mentioned how much he learned by being involved in real projects. So I think the interaction of corporations, of consultancies with universities is going to be key because it's not something you can learn by studying history, right? It's today, it's fast changing, it's at incredible pace, and that's the combination that you will need. And that's, so to your question, I think it's also very important for corporations to establish that. If we look at, I work with the financial sector, and looking at the more established institutes, I totally agree today, it's still a small fraction of people that are involved in the topics. I think more and more we're seeing the topic become more important. It's coming onto the CEO agenda, and I think that's going to drive adoption within the institutes. At PwC, we founded a group where we have across all of the different dimensions of digital assets, where we help educate the younger people so that they stay on top of the industry and they can basically go out and understand, but B, also help foster further education with our clients. I think that's a good example that I'm happy to talk to any large corporations to do similar programs. I think it's education from the universities. We have a lot of young people that have grown up as the digital natives, like we like to say, and they can be a real driver of change. We just have to give them opportunity to grow. We have to give them support, and then basically facilitate that through organizations, through the traditional banks, and also through consultancies.
Okay. One question, please give me a quick answer to that. We have seen this NFT hype recently. We have seen many people promoting NFT is the next new thing, and this is very cool, and buy it. And I personally had the impression that there has been a bunch of influencers telling the NFT story via TikTok and whatsoever, that don't have a fundamental knowledge of the risks associated to that, of the underlying technology and so on. Has this NFT hype been good or bad for the industry? Just a single sentence answer, please, Andreas.
Single answer is difficult on that. I think the hype was beneficial to raise awareness. I think whether it's NFT or the more than 19,000 projects that are out there, there was a lot of lesser quality projects. And I think we're now seeing an opportunity for a bit of cleansing of the market. With the NFT value, I think very much is important always to what's your personal value that you associate with that. And once we attach more, real life use cases, more benefits to NFTs, not just having the Bored Ape Yacht Club, but having an NFT that you can actually use in your everyday life, I think that's going to drive the real value. So I think it didn't cause detrimental damage, and I think we now have a chance to basically clean up the market a little bit and focus on quality.
So your answer is it's good.
Yes.
Yeah, my view, the more wallets, the better for the market. And obviously, with each new tool, there's a risk. When the first plane gets invented, obviously, when you fly it, there might be some risk involved in that. Same with technology, right? New technology being used involves a risk. But it's very good that new types of users have actually been approached and have been using blockchain technology. As an example, many people approached me from galleries or from even wineries looking at tokenizing wine. So you hear now people who have nothing to do with technology speaking about Ethereum and why they want to launch NFTs on different platforms. And that's generally for the industry obviously good.
Michael, good or bad?
To answer your question, yes, it's good that it happened so early, but it's not good that it happened. In our generation, everybody knows the specs around the cars. The new generation, the younger generation knows the specs around the iPhone. But no one is taking care what is behind the project. Who are the managers? What is the technology? What is the benefit? Do your own research. And this is something I need to admit, most people in this industry do not take responsibility, and also the vendors, the providers, do not take the responsibility to educate people. And this is exactly the reason why we founded Binance Academy. We want our customers to understand in what they invest. And I think they need to understand how to invest, where to invest, and what is it before investing. Because this is a typical, I would say, Western German problem. My neighbor gets 8% of interest. I'm only getting 4%. Oh, it must be good. I'm taking the 8%, but do not have any clue around the risk, the product, whatever. It happened 2008. It happened last year, or beginning of this year, and I hope it will not happen again. And this is the reason why we're sitting here, to try to educate people and warn them, do not invest in something you do not understand just because it got 200% increase yesterday.
Maria.
So I think we said many valid things. First of all, a lot of people lost money in this NFT hype, including me. If you want to know which NFTs not to invest in, come to me. But this brought a lot of knowledge. So I'm a big fan of learning by doing. So by investing in NFTs, I learned a lot of lessons. I learned how to analyze NFTs, how to analyze projects, how to analyze blockchain projects, how to read white papers, how to read a roadmap, how to ask questions, how to use Discord. So all these things you learn by doing, and you learn by making mistakes. And then about educating our clients, our partners, and so on and so forth. I think it's the responsibility of every blockchain company, of every blockchain project, to somehow create educational opportunities for their surroundings, for everyone that is related to them in some way. And this, I want to go back to your last question. This is very important, exactly this connection between clients, employees, and companies. We all have to learn together about blockchain. So a program, an educational program that facilitates this bond, this learning together, would be the best program. Because I remember in universities, the best lectures were when a CEO comes and tells about their company, gives us a use case, and then we solve it. And this is how actually we're doing it at Ecolens. We cooperate with companies, they come to us, they give us use cases, our professionals solve them, and this is how they learn to work in blockchain. And only this is the way people will learn about the technology, learn about the use cases, and how to actually be successful in this industry. So learning by doing is key here.
Okay. I would try to address the final minutes we do have into the direction of the public opinion, politicians, regulators, parliament, where I feel that Germany, in an international comparison, has developed quite good. I do remember when I approached the German BaFin back in 2014 for setting up a crypto investment product, and there was no one who had a knowledge of crypto, and now this has significantly changed. And maybe Michael, from your international experience within Binance, where does Germany stand as regards the ability of particularly the politics in terms of promoting blockchain?
It's funny. If you would have asked me this question 2 years before, I would say at last position. Because the FCA in the UK already had a sandbox where fintechs could try themselves out, could operate without a license. I think by deploying or publishing this crypto custody law 32 German Banking Act, this was quite advanced before of the others. And this is something Germany really spearheaded. Germany consulted multiple fintechs which already had been in place, how to structure something, how to generate a legal framework to operate legally. And I think in the meanwhile, Germany is very open for fintechs, also for blockchain companies. But BaFin needs to get more resources, more capacity to faster work on the applications which had been handed in, because waiting times between 12 to 24 months, then we are losing the competition to other countries. Fintechs are moving to other countries. So the regulator and the fintechs need to work more tight together. Licenses need to be applied even faster, possibly also staggered in stages, while the regulator still is on the side and is auditing and reviewing what is happening.
I think we could continue for hours. However, we are getting to the end of our session. I think blockchain is so diverse in terms of how you look at it and how you explain it and what's the core value. And I do remember that a neighbor came across, and my 12-year-old son, who was helping me for a blockchain event, was asked by this neighbor, so do you know about blockchain as well? And he said, yes, of course, it's about storing data, not in a centralized way, but where everybody holds something of it. And so the neighbor was really impressed. I was impressed personally by my son as well. I would give you the final question. If there was one single core message about blockchain, you would laugh that not everybody in this room, but everybody in Germany would cite when asked about blockchain. What would be this single one message you want to get across, starting with you, Andreas?
I think digital assets have the ability to really transform the way we think and live with capital markets in the financial ecosystem, and ultimately have a way to transform the world. So I think they can offer real-life benefits. It's key for people to understand and realize the benefits that this technology can bring.
One sentence.
And it's still one sentence. There was no full stop. And that's the major benefits that we can all hope for.
I don't know, what's your single one core message?
Considering the current political ecosystem we have close outside Europe and so on, I think it's the financial independence from whatever a state wants you to do.
Educate our teachers, start blockchain courses in the middle school, don't let the train pass by.
Maria?
Financial inclusion, definitely. I see it every day.
Okay, even that shows how diverse our look at blockchain is. Thank you very much to the panel. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.